I'm excited about my upcoming hiking trip, leaving tomorrow, June 17th. For a few weeks, I was watching weather news for the south of France, and the weather has finally turned exactly as I like it to be. I got my airplane ticket a few days ago, one way. I always do it that way. Choose the trail, check the weather, get the ticket one way, and get on the trail. No return ticket. That allows me freedom to go at optimal speed depending on weather conditions and how I feel. That's my way of doing it. There's nothing wrong with booking tickets and lodging a year or so ahead. In fact, it's highly recommended for the more popular trails. But I've done even the super popular Tour du Mont Blanc at peak season in impromptu mode. No, it's not what I would recommend to anybody else, but it works best for me. This is my first multi-week hike this year. I'll follow Hexatrek, starting in the Pyrenees and covering part of Stage 5 and Stage 4. The whole Hexatrek is about 3,000 kilometers, crossing 14 national parks in France. Hexatrek was officially launched only in 2022 and is now very professionally promoted by the French non-profit Hexatrek Association. One part of Hexatrek practically overlaps with all of the GR11 long trek, which I completed a few years ago. That's about 800 kilometers over the Pyrenees. But this time, I won't be much above the tree line. Most of the time, this part of the trail is in the woods, exactly as I like it. Well, at least that's the expectation. What experience do I look forward to? Over the years, I've worked out a pattern of what exactly I'm looking for. Basically, being on the move from soon after sunrise till about an hour before sunset. The usual day is something like 12 or 13 hours of activity. When walking in nature, far from cities with no sound of civilization, I enjoy the very process of walking. Always intentional nasal breathing. A bliss. Meditation. Health-wise, it is just perfect. That's what I'm going for. I'll burn some fat. On previous hikes, I've been losing about 2 kilograms of body weight per week, and I'm looking forward to it this time as well. That will push my body weight back into the ideal range. This year I spent winter in a cold climate and learned that I just cannot keep my body weight down in cold climates. Even if I was going to the gym 3 times a week, I failed at fasting multiple times. The maximum I was able to fast in winter season in Northern Europe was just over 48 hours. Particularly the lack of sunlight was torture. In Mediterranean climate, where there's plenty of sun and light all year round, I can easily fast for up to 7 days without much advanced thought. Anyway, I will burn some fat on this hike. And that leads to how I handle drink and food. Generally, I do not plan for that either. More than that, I occasionally fast or even dry fast on hikes. That enhances the experience. I'm personally not concerned about when I will next have water or food. No, this is not what I would recommend to anybody else, even if it works for me. I usually have 1 to 3 days worth of food with me and aim for 100 grams of protein daily. Sardines in olive oil, canned meat with no preservatives, dry cured ham, avocados. Those are the usual staples. No flour, no sugar, no seed oils. That's the axiom. Water? I carry only 1/2 liter metal thermal bottle. I drink where the source is. I fill up the bottle. That's it. This mode of opportunistic approach to food and water occasionally leads to episodes when food or water reserves are low or absent. The springs are dry, and a village with a supermarket is a few days away. Villages and small cities on the trail are another source of enjoyment and of existential importance for restocking food. After days in the wilderness, it usually feels really good to sit down on a terrace, have a coffee, leaf through a local newspaper, and smoke a small cigar. That's a nice old school combination, and the occasional cigar is fine. It's still allowed in France and Spain to smoke on outside terraces of cafeterias, One thing that's certain about cafeterias, restaurants, and eateries one occasionally may find is that by far most of them serve substandard food. The kind of food I don't eat. Too much flour and seed oils, too little good meat or vegetables. There are exceptions, but those are rare. I usually do not count on finding a decent lunch or dinner opportunity more often than maybe once a week. Yes, food is an issue on trails. The meals provided by shelters are the worst. The best part of those community meals is the company, but food is generally substandard with a lot of nasty stuff, like fries, white bread, and who knows what oil used for cooking. Maybe for next year, I'll figure out a way where I can order proper meat from biological farms in advance to be prepared at mealtime. But that takes a lot of planning and organizing, and that's possibly not practical for one person only. Need to organize a group for that, to have proper meals. But until that happens, I have to rely mostly on supermarkets and small shops for buying acceptable quality food, which unfortunately leads to occasions when edible food is not available for a day or so. As for shoes, as always, I'll have two pairs of minimalist shoes. One pair of Vibram Five Fingers and one pair of Zero trail running shoes. This combination works for me. I've done the toughest European trails with this kind of shoe set, and it's not my concern that almost nobody else does that. However, I'll do something different this year. I'll try to go as light as possible while still having full autonomy and being ready for all kinds of weather conditions, meaning that I'll carry all that's needed for wild camping and a solar battery. I expect the backpack to be comfortably light. What about those near-death episodes suggested in the title? Indeed, when those happened, they felt like that could be the end of it. No joke. Like when caught in a hailstorm with hailstones of a couple of centimeters in diameter and no place to hide. Like overestimating my ability to drive fast at high altitude in high temperature. That ended well with a swim under a waterfall. Like having no navigation and being lost in a mountainous area. Or wrong estimate for nighttime temperature due to the difference in altitude. Trying to take a shortcut and ending up on a tricky cliff in objectively a life-threatening situation. Things like that. Once I was pondering that almost on every long hike, I get into some extremely uncomfortable situation, each time being totally different from the previous occasion. But really, do I expect a life-threatening episode on this hike? No, I don't. Altitude is moderate, weather is likely to be good, equipment adequate, and previous experience provides the ability to evaluate and act in a wide range of conditions. What I do expect is ample hours of meditative walking, taking deep, slow, nasal breaths of super clean air, enjoying views and nature. Minimalist shoes ensuring that each step is a micro dose of pleasure. Occasional conversations with fellow hikers, and coming out of it rejuvenated both physically and mentally. Hiking is my protocol for healing, a protocol that covers all the bases. What is yours? Do you prefer going on a hike with or without return ticket?